People wanted to feel a part of the mission. They want a clear understanding of what they do each day matters.
What separates someone, from who stays stuck from someone who kind of levels up?
One word, comes to mind is
most people feel like the world is moving faster than they can keep up. Jobs disappearing, AI taking over, and the belief that no one's really hiring. What if the problem isn't the system? What if it's the way we've been wired to think about work, purpose, and people? Today's guest, Regan Hahn, is the VP of Recruiting at FIBR, and she's helping people rediscover who they are in a world obsessed with what they do. We talk about why hiring feels broken, how emotional intelligence is becoming the real skill set, and how fitness, mindset, and resilience connect more than what most people realize. Stay until the end, because we break down how you can rewire your brain using the STIA framework, originally created by Dr. Jeffrey Schwartz, one of the pioneers in neuroplasticity, and the 3 practical actions you can start doing today to use that science to your advantage and get ahead. Let's get into it. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. I'm excited to have this conversation.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, we met, I would say, in the most unique way, but it was like, you're a very fired up, engaging person. Like, you just...
We're setting the stage. Pre-warn the listeners. Yeah.
You are, I mean, you barrel roll through stuff, and it's because of your personality. Like, you're super energetic, very easy to talk to. You're a magnet. Like, people want to talk to you. And that's why I'm so excited to have you on the show today.
Thank you.
But I really want to drive this conversation into how people can really kind of set themselves up for progress, how to get into a position to make things better for their life. And I just want to hit something that I think is maybe on everyone's mind, related to the way that they either get hired or they are hiring. And maybe why people think that hiring is broken everywhere. So why do you feel, or why do you think people think that hiring feels broken across almost every industry?
Yeah.
Why do you think that might be the case? Why does it feel that way?
A great question. I mean, I'm going to come out the gate on a deep level, right? I think just as people, maybe we've disconnected with our why. And our purpose, and we're running towards things, in this instance, our occupation or a job that really doesn't align with us as the individual going into that. Maybe we have some other motive, right? Which is important as well, right? We have mouths to feed, families to take care of, bills to pay, and things. And that becomes a driving factor and the North Star on where we apply and what industries we get into. And I feel like if people kind of took a moment to sit down and dive a little bit deeper and look back, right, maybe the last 20 years, like, how did I get here, right? You're applying for this position in this industry or this seat that you actually hate. And you're like, well, yeah, it's not going to work out. The universe just doesn't play like that, all right? You're always going to be miserable. You're never going to be just naturally moving vertically in that role because it doesn't align with your skills. And I think each individual person is naturally born with a set of gifts and talents and skills that, if we looked at that as a whole, again, kind of as you mentioned, I know I was born, I've always been high energy. I've always been just like this talkative bulldozer into a situation. So the industry I went into very naturally was fitness. I didn't have any other choice. Like, you're not sticking me in corporate America, quiet in a suit, in a cubicle. It doesn't align, right? So being very clear and honest with yourself. And I don't think a lot of people have done that. We've been, conditioned. You go to the college, you go into an occupation that pays well, that's responsible, et cetera. And, maybe it's just a time to do an internal shift and say, what are my skills? How can I use those skills in what industries, what positions, from the skills I've acquired and learned in my time? And then what am I naturally good at and enjoy? In Eastern culture, they call that your ikigai. If you guys want to go down a rabbit hole and look into finding your ikigai, there's a very simplistic Venn diagram. You can Google it, Google the ikigai Venn diagram, fill in the little bubbles, what you're good at, what the world needs, what your skills are, how you can make money from those skills. And then you'll land on something very centralized that, I'm an educator and a presenter, and every job I've ever had the last, couple decades has fallen into that in some realm. So that's how I would kind of paint that picture, is the 30,000 square foot view issue with kind of hiring.
It's both from the employer and the employee sense, that you have those looking for jobs. Like I look at Indeed, for example, and it's a very simple, you put your information out there, you can click on a button and boom, it just sends it to someone. And on the employer side, they might be getting these not so great candidates because that person is not being honest with themselves on exactly what it is that they want to do. And so that information, it's just good. It's broken on both sides. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I think there's a deeper dive from both, right? The employer has to really give that candidate an opportunity to explore, not just go through these bullet point interview questions, get to know their why. Why do you want to work at this brand? And that's not shown on a piece of paper, right? So just having, again, a human interaction, a person to person. Why do you want to be here? What are your goals? Why do you feel like you align? How is this a fit? What do you want from this? How can we support? What do both parties need to do for this position to be successful for the employee and the employer? And uncovering things that they might not know, because maybe there's another seat on the bus for them. Maybe they applied for X, but after you start exploring, like, if I'm hearing them and genuinely getting to know them from an employer seat, I'm seeing that they actually are more well equipped to be successful in this other department or space. So just kind of helping from an employer side, getting the team members in the right seat right from the beginning will help both.
So I've hired directly and indirectly, I've hired over 1,000 people. And the one thing, it's kind of like my 10-10 rule. So for every 10 candidates or resumes that came through, about one was any good. And then of that one candidate, I'd have to have at least 10 of those that would come in for an interview. One of those might be good to hire. So that's my 10-10 rule that I use. But a lot of times I recall being in positions where we were stuck. We needed to actually fill a position, and we would bypass a lot of the why questions. Like we would skim over them, or maybe just kind of allow a response we wouldn't normally take to be like, well, I can kind of see past that. So we'll just onboard them. And that kind of killed culture in certain areas of our business. So in the fitness industry, the average person stays about 3 months. Now that's like spanning every group, like your VP all the way through maybe someone who's helping with cleaning. Why is the turnover like that? And are you seeing this in other industries, or is it just specific to fitness? And what can other industries learn from that? I know I threw like 3 questions at you, but hopefully you can stay with me. So why is the turnover like that, right? Why is it like that in the fitness industry? Is it like that in other industries? And what can other industries learn from it?
Yeah, no, great call out there. I mean, it is unfortunate the attrition from the talent side tends to be pretty high in our industry. I think it goes back to what you're saying. Sometimes we're in a pickle and we think that just the right person, just fill the seat. And we end up just setting ourselves and the employer up for failure, that they were never really the right candidate in the first place. So I think that that's a big pain point. Also traditionally across, our industry, unfortunately, we haven't done a great job of creating playbooks and onboardings and things that help condition someone. We absolutely are an industry that just drops people for just like, hey, great, here's your job. go figure it out, right? And then we come back at them and we're asking them, why do you not have numbers on the board? We need this from you. We need this from you. And we didn't really actually provide them with the tools and resources to nurture those skills that they came in with. So I think there's definitely an opportunity, and we do see that needle moving, industry wide as far as the fitness, space goes, is really setting them up for success. Being more intentional on developing our talent, because nobody wants to stay in a job that they suck at, but also nobody wants to suck at their job. So of course they're going to leave, and the employer doesn't want them to suck because they're not hitting numbers.
Do you think that's true though? Do you think people who get hired are not wanting to suck at their job? And the reason why I ask that is because I see more and more across industries. It doesn't matter. I mean, I could go to a coffee shop. I could go to a large corporate office where they are in cubicles and they're sitting there watching the clock, waiting for to tick over to 5 so that way they can get out of there. And I see it in the fitness industry too, where you walk into a gym and somebody's at the front desk and they're on their phone and they pay zero attention to the person walking in the door. They're distracted. They're highly distracted because of all of the opportunity that lives around them that's trying to grab their attention, because there's other tools that are trying to market to them. Do you think it's that they actually don't want to be bad at their job, or do you think it is that they're distracted, or they're just looking for their payment, right? They're just looking for a way to get compensated.
Yeah, I think in the industry, at least the fitness industry, since there's different departments, particularly the fitness professionals, right? The trainers, the coaches, their compensation is usually pretty heavily commission based. So if they're not able to generate leads, convert new clients, retain their clients, and have a book of business, they're not making money. And for them, that's the not being good at their job, right? And have we been able to help them learn how to generate a sales play, convert clients, retain their clients, be a really strong fitness professional? Or do they just get a certification and we're like, great, you have a certification, you understand body mechanics, go build a book of business, so that a lot of people don't get into the fitness industry as a fitness professional with a passion for sales usually. But the reality is you have to be able to sell to be able to do what you love, which is train clients, and to be able to make a decent living. So I think that as far as that bucket, as the fitness professionals, they don't want to lose. They want to train clients, but they don't understand that sales play and how to run the business, wear the business hat. Now, when it comes to the other departments, whether it be your front desk or your leaders, we did an interesting retention survey a handful of years ago when I was with a big commercial brand, how do we retain our employees? And that was across, again, C-suite down to frontline operators and maintenance. And what we found really interesting, we were expecting the responses to be, right, something based around compensation, right? Our employees are happiest and more likely to stay. But what we found, no matter their level of involvement, no matter their department, there was a unanimous voice that people wanted to feel a part of the mission. They wanted clear understanding of what they do each day matters. Why does me checking in at the front desk and smiling and folding the towels and making sure guests sign the waiver? Why the hell does it matter? Right? And when we were able to make those adjustments from top down, how do we make our maintenance employee that's cleaning the locker rooms feel so empowered and important in the big picture of what they're doing? And when we could achieve that through our meetings, through our coaching, through our onboarding at the very beginning of bringing those employees on, I think that's just a human psychology. People, and that's what the data showed, right? People want to feel like they're a part of something.
So I'm going to challenge that a little bit because, one, people are money motivated.
Oh, absolutely.
We know this, right?
Oh, definitely. Nobody wants to work for free. I don't want to. Yeah, I don't want to work for free. Yeah.
For that one. So, looking at that, how big of a data pool was it that you measured?
It was across over 5,000 employees.
Okay, so it's a good number. Mm-hmm. Next question is, good number gives you the information. Obviously, these can be skewed depending on the way that the question was asked, or how they were like if it was a multiple choice and there were only two choices.
Fair, fair.
Right. But looking at that, right? If I'm thinking about the person that is working the front desk and they want to feel like this sense of belonging, this sense of commitment to mission, I would think that person is going to naturally know that they've got to have a smile on their face for a simple reason, right? I think it would be common sense to almost everyone. So are they really looking for that? Are they really saying, hey, tell me why I need to be up here smiling? Because there's a bigger problem, in my opinion, if that's the case, right? Or is the mission something different other than knowing why they're doing it? Is it like they want to have input to the business to maybe give feedback on, hey, this is what I'm at the desk every day, and this is what I'm seeing. These are the things that I'm seeing every single day, whether I'm smiling or not smiling. This is how customers are coming up. I think we can do this one thing and it's going to change things drastically. Is it that they want that kind of input, or do they need the teacher to come in and say, hey, you got to smile because studies show that if you do this, people are going to be happier when they come in and they'll stay longer. Which one is it? Or am I just wrong on both ends?
Okay, I think I want to backtrack and call out that you mentioned common sense. Unfortunately, that's a pin we need to hit on. That common sense isn't as common as you think it is nowadays. Right? Yeah. I mean, it just unfortunately really is not. So I'll start with that, and then we'll go with the reference of the smiling, right? So in this instance, the front desk, of course, we're coaching those behaviors. We're saying, hey, we're friendly, we're welcoming, we're engaging. That 5-second rule when somebody walks in the front door, we're saying hello. But then painting that picture, starting with why. How does that move the needle in the business standpoint? How does you smiling affect the conversion potential when they're passed off to a sales lead? How does that affect the business as a whole? Not just smile and be happy because that's on your job description. How is that helping the company achieve all these other targets? And then when those targets are being achieved, making sure we're going back to that front line. I think we forget to celebrate with our frontline employees. We're looking at numbers and data, and we're celebrating this KPI of member experience went up by 5%. I'm going right back to the people that really impacted that, saying, hey, look, fantastic job. And we spoke about X, Y, and Z and implementing that. This is how you helped our facility go from, 25th in the company to now we're in the top 10. And that started with you. And here's how that worked, right? So making them feel like, again, no, I mean, you can only share so much, right? You don't want to trickle down everything, but giving them insight to the business, letting them know what they're doing and why it's important and how it's impacting everyone.
Is there real value in that though? And I ask that because let's talk frontline. Okay. And customer comes in, I'm told, because I work the front desk, I'm told I need to smile or I need to smile more. Right. So every time someone comes in, like I put on this cheesy grin, and it's passed off to the customer as maybe not a cheesy grin because they don't know me well enough to know what my real smile is, or my real genuine take action type of personality might be. So the consumer just goes, hey, that guy's smiling at me and awesome, like I feel better. But it's faked by the staff. Is there a big miss there if we're doing that? Like, do they really care?
Yeah, I think it goes back to the very beginning of the conversation. They're just in the wrong seat. If you're not a friendly person that genuinely enjoys smiling, you're not working frontline. It's just not, it's not the seat for you. If you hate smiling, you're just in the wrong seat on the bus. Like, we just need to pivot to somewhere else.
Cubicle. Put him in the cubicle.
I don't know. If your job is to greet people and you hate greeting people, that was a miss. Like, that was from both parties, from the employer and the employee. Like, why are you in that seat if you hate smiling? And people have days, we have moments. We're not happy every single second, right? Life is happening around us. But again, if you genuinely signed up for that job, knowing that you hate the basic requirements of that job, it was a miss at the beginning, right? And another thing I want to point out, because we're talking about, frontline and attrition, it is also very realistic that a lot of these employees are here for a part-time gig and they have aspirations to go on and do something else, and it's not their career. And we want to celebrate that. And again, provide them with parallels and know them. They're working the front desk and they're going through law school. how do we create a benefit that coincides with what it is they really want to do, right? And painting that picture of the skills that they're acquiring in this position, how they're going to positively affect what they move on to do. And I think we miss that as well, where we're just like, okay, Joe's working front desk, Joe's in law school, he's going to leave anyways. What does it matter?
I got him for 6 months, right?
Exactly. And if they know that, they're more likely to stay as well. And when I will say the second pillar of that data, the first was understanding the why, the vision, being a part of the big picture of a company. The second was that work-life balance. People really wanted that. And, that coincides.
I'm going to stop you there because I just read something on LinkedIn from someone posting work-life balance is, and then swear word.
I want to take a guess at what the words were, but I think I know. Go ahead, Mike.
So it came from someone who's, done very well for himself and has lots and lots of followers and coaches a lot of people. So are we soft as a society? Are we saying, oh, let me pat you on the back and, yes, you need work-life balance. And I totally agree, let's do these things and you can have your meditation moment. You can have this thing and only 40 hours a week, like overly soft? Or does our culture just need to go, all right, hey, I'm going to grind it out. And this is what I love doing. In order to get where I want to go, I've got to keep grinding.
Mm-hmm.
Are we just accepting that? And it's the, like, do we have to change the way that we think as an employer and as an employee? Or is that acceptance going to lead us down a path that will ultimately kind of break both sides?
Yeah, great point there. I'm going to take a stab at guessing that the individual, without seeing that LinkedIn post, is probably extremely successful in their right. They probably hold a very high level seat, whether they're an entrepreneur and their own business owner or very high level within an organization. And I say that with confidence, having had mentors, and we do have a phrase called work-life integration. Now, work-life integration, work-life balance, I don't know if we can cuss on it, but work-life word does not apply when you are an entrepreneur, when you are holding very high level seats. That's just so you're on and you figure out how to create work-life integration. And that's necessary. And that does move forward those who are going very aggressively towards lofty goals, career goals, right? We're looking at more the part-time employee. We're looking at the salaried GM, that this isn't their life. They're not gung-ho. They're not the 10% of population that wants to run full speed, embraces the grind. They want to have they want to have a nice life. They want to be comfortable. They want to take care of their families and their needs, but they're not shooting for the stars, right? Those that are shooting for the stars are work-life integration. They're not soft. We've got the grit. We've got the grind. We understand that. I'm saying that the other 90%, most of our team, not our high-level leaders, we've glamorized the grind. We've glamorized burnout in our culture, especially in our country. And that's why you see mental health, crisis. You see this anxiety. You see all these other factors because we have absolutely glamorized just running ourselves into the ground. And I'm sure we could speak about that as well. When you're mentally and physically healthy, it improves your quality of work and your performance. So if we know that, and again, especially only being in the fitness industry and health and wellness is all I know, right? I will always advocate for that. I will make sure that my employees are mentally and physically and emotionally sound and well. And if that means that I need to pivot that front desk coverage a little bit, I need to make sure that my GM has a Saturdays off, as much as that sucks, and I need to, make some other adjustments. If that's what helps them be able to show up in their best self and perform better, we're going to get more quality performance out of that employee regardless. And again, only applying that really to I would call our worker bees, our employer bees, not our high level leaders or entrepreneurs.
I've always said that a great coach does not necessarily make a great player, and a great player does not necessarily make a great coach. You do have some that can do both. Sometimes people are playing the game, right? They go out there and they play on the field, they make things happen, make big plays happen. And because they were a great player, the MVP, for whatever reason, a lot of people think that they're going to be capable of rising to that next level and being that great coach. And I think the great coach is the person who is going to grind, right? They're going to stay late. They're going to fill the gaps when someone's not available. And they have what I've not heard work-life integration before. But I think it's the same thing as work-life balance. It's just you look at it from a different lens. You go, yeah, I'm still balancing my life and my time. I'm just trying to figure out how to make it work for me. And then those who have the term where they're saying work-life balance, since you hear it from, because you guys did you did the study. Those individuals are individuals who are saying, I truly don't want to get in that space shuttle and fly to Mars. That's not happening for me. I don't have that interest. I would rather be able to spend just 39 hours at work, and the rest of my time I'm doing things for myself. And they have no desire or aspiration to be that coach or that entrepreneur that you say.
Correct.
So I think there does have to be a mindset shift. I think from a leadership perspective, you can't be so hard-nosed with your staff, because if you are, you're going to lose them. And from the staff's perspective, you have to level up a little bit, maybe, and understand what that work-life balance is, and then also be in alignment with your leadership group. Mm-hmm. So
I'll always bring it back. I'm just going to keep beating the dead horse, always bringing it back to setting that expectation at the beginning. If they come in, let's use that general manager reference of a fitness facility, and they knew clearly they need to work weekends. They have to work evenings. I mean, if that was clearly painted, and then 5 months in, they're saying they can't do that, that's not work-life balance. That's going backwards in the job that you signed up for.
Good point.
So just being clear on your expectations as an employer of what is needed from them, and can they satisfy that, and does that allow them that work-life balance, or do you need to out the gate? You love the candidate, and they're telling you I can't work Saturdays. Is that something you're willing to sway on and adjust the rest of your team around if they're really the person for the seat? So again, just creating clear expectations at the very beginning about the role in any industry, I think, would help.
If you've made it this far into the episode, thank you. I don't take your time or your attention lightly. So if anything that I've shared today has sparked an idea, challenged you in any way, maybe challenged your perspective on things, or just helps you see your business a little differently, I'd love for you to do 2 quick things. First, head over to YouTube, search Sweat Success Podcast, and hit that subscribe button. Next, please go to bizops.com. I've put together a handful of free resources there that you can download to help you grow your business, improve your systems, and create real freedom. They're all available right now. There's no strings attached. I just appreciate you being here. Let's get back to the show. So you've coached executives and entry-level trainers. What separates someone, from who stays stuck from someone who kind of levels up?
One word, comes to mind is resilience. How do they continue to overcome? How do they continue to move forward? Life is messy, and business is messy, and you have to fail forward. And if you're the type of individual that gets discouraged when you have to take a couple steps back to go forward, or things don't go as planned, that's really a mindset and attribute that I feel differentiates those that get in the rocket ship and go to the moon, is being able to pivot, being able to take every single opportunity as learning, that there's no such thing as failure, only learning, only feedback.
So you think it's a trainable or a trait that's inherent? Is it something that you can be conditioned to withstand? Like I can withstand resilience. Like I have that because I've been conditioned for it. Or is it in your DNA?
Great question. Resilience is one of the pillars of emotional intelligence, and emotional intelligence, just as intellect, can be taught. And our mindsets are not hard set. We create a mindset based on how we have lived and all the stimulus. but you can rehardwire your neurons, right? It's called neuroplasticity, reframing how you think. A lot of times people say it just is the way that I am, or that,
It is what it
Michael's
is.
just that
Yeah.
way. He's just always been that way and he's always going to be that way. And we know from science and brain studies that is not true. You can truly rehardwire the way that you think and your mindset, resilience being one of those pillars. So ways that you would implement that is one, first, being aware. That's the first pillar of emotional intelligence, is self-awareness, thinking about what you are thinking. So when an obstacle arises, when there's an opportunity to be resilient, what am I thinking about that? Is my internal self-dialogue, this is the end all, this is awful, I'm never going to overcome from this? Or is our mindset towards that situation, okay, let me think on this. What can I learn from it? Right? So the very first step is just paying attention to where you pay your attention and to your thoughts. And once you start doing that, it's identical to physical exercise. If you can get mental reps in, if you can put yourself in situations that allow you to practice the art of resilience, a lot of times you hear the common, take a cold shower. That's not something you want to do. It's something that you can intentionally do to make yourself more resilient. Doing the things you don't want to do intentionally will start to reframe your mindset.
Can you give an example? Yeah,
I can do this.
I know you
don't
gave
like
the
this,
cold.
but I can do it. Mm-hmm.
I know you gave the cold shower example, and you used to teach mental performance, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. So I want to dig into this a little bit because this is good stuff. The person that is out there that is because this is, I think, a common theme, right? We have employers saying there aren't enough good candidates, or there are not enough applicants coming through. You have people who are looking for jobs who are saying, like, there's a million bazillion of us out here, like, looking for a job. Can someone hire me? But at the same time, you have those same pool of people that are in that group that have this kind of mental state of, I can't overcome some of these things, or they flip flop, right? One day they're wanting to do this, and the next day they're wanting to do this, and there's no consistency. So how can someone get into that mindset where you can actually train and shift the way that you think to rewire your brain, to rewire the way that you think? I was not taught, but something stuck with me at an early age because of someone very close to me who had said that people don't change, faces do. The other one was, people don't change, places do. And so that keeps you in this kind of thought process. And for me, for many years, it was always like, well, if someone's not good for me at this time in my life, you're not in my circle because you're going to drain my energy. And or if a bad thing happened, like, it's like they'll never change. That person is always that way, kind of to what you're saying. That, I think, has been the mantra, like the foundation of the way that a lot of us have thought for many years. And you're saying, and we know science has proven neuroplasticity exists and we can rewire our brain. And you go through this program where you actually help people train to do this thing. So since we're on this topic, could you give maybe the 3 steps someone can do that they could actually start today or tomorrow to help rewire the way that they think so they could be better at performance, or better at obtaining a job, or getting clearer on how to build resilience? Can you help with that?
Yeah, definitely. And I want to start by sharing we only are responsible for ourselves. So in that, analogy of, it's not the right person, you're right. We cannot change them. There's nothing we can do about their mindset, right? We can only focus on ourselves. And the first step, again, is just awareness, knowing that we don't know everything and there's opportunity to grow, and how we've been operating and functioning is fine, but I'm open and willing to want to train and want to do something else. The stages of change and mental performance are identical to physical performance. You have to be wanting to do it. You can tell the person 50,000 times, you need to lose weight, you need to get in shape. But if they haven't made that decision for themselves, they're not going to make change anyways. So first step, I'd say, is having that open mindset and that willingness to train and learn. It's going to be uncomfortable. You are going to have to dive deep and implement and practice just as you would. So first step, being clear on you're going to have to put in some work. It's not just going to happen. It's not going to happen by thinking about it. You're going to need to put in some work. The second step would be to finding, maybe a mindset performance coach, elite mental training platforms. There are, brands. I personally work for a brand called My Steady Mind. They have technical implementation practices that you can do. Again, it's not just thinking about being more present, thinking about being more focused or resilient or grateful. It's tangible exercises that you apply and you repeat and you repeat and you repeat until those neurons start to adjust and they start to rewire those neuron bundles until eventually you are just processing information in a different way. So there are strategies out there beyond just books on emotional intelligence, which I think are great as well. We want to take in information, but again, taking in information and applying information is two entirely different things. I can read about doing power cleans all day long. I can read about building muscle, but if I'm not going to the gym and applying that science of how to build the muscle, my body doesn't change. And I think we have done that with our emotional training as well, with our mindset training. We read the developmental books. We, hear all about it. We absorb information, but are we actually creating ways to apply and get those repetitions in? And then the third step, I'd say, is anything. Just show yourself grace. It's going to be different. It's going to be uncomfortable. If you haven't done meditation or you think it's, silly, super, just like, why am I having to do this thing? Or why do I have to wake up every single morning 5 minutes early and journal about my thoughts forwards and backwards? It's throwing you out of routine. It's throwing you out of what you maybe have had known. But again, if you can't go where you've been if you've been doing what you've always been doing. And with that, in relation to job placement, because that's kind of the topic, we're speaking on, all of the research shows that those whom have higher EQs, even if they have a lower IQ, perform better in business across all industries. And those that are the highest paid employees in any industry always have a parallel of having the highest EQs in the company as well. So with that, if you took away one piece of advice, whether you're an employer or you're somebody looking for a job, you have technical skills, you have those are important, but we really need to be focusing on how am I elevating in my emotional intelligence, because that is going to separate you from another candidate. And that is going to separate you from the level of success that you're looking to achieve. And with that information, I'd go a step further. How do organizations, and they are applying this, which is, I love to see it, but how are we providing that for our employees? How are we providing spaces and places of emotional intelligence training? We do all this training and all these resources and put them through all these lectures and meetings. And it's not a thing that's taught. It's definitely not taught in our culture. We are almost 20%. Only 20% of our adult population is what we'd consider emotionally literate.
Interesting. Really?
The rest of adults are running around like kindergarten level regulation of mindset when it comes to the actual pillars of EQ. So it's not our fault. Again, we're not taught these things. We're taught to read and write and all these other technical skills, but we are not taught emotional intelligence. So how can organizations, if they know that their employees are going to perform better with these skills, as an employer, what resources can I provide to them to elevate those mindfulness techniques?
So you have me thinking on a few things. First, I want to say this on your point about showing grace. I read something recently that really resonated with me, which was my wife had a hard time meditating. And when we first started kind of meditating together, and she just couldn't get into this relaxed state. And the thing that I read, I wish I had read it, years ago, because I think it would have helped her significantly. But anyone that's listening to this, if you are in a place where you're trying to figure out how to meditate, like RC is saying, and show grace, the thing that I read was that if you know how to worry, you know how to meditate. So it's that same concept of repeating the same thought over and over. It's just that you're doing it the wrong way. and you're doing it on something that's negative, and that only reinforces that negative behavior and helps continue that same pathway of neurologic dysfunction in your brain of going negative, negative, negative. You can't get out of that train of thought, which does not pull you over into that level up state that RC is talking about when you're rewiring your brain. The other thing that I was thinking about was, so I help coach football, and I just had this conversation. This explains the 20% EQ. I just had a conversation with some of these coaches about the way that they communicate with the kids, and they've learned, right, through practice of observation, to yell at the kids, because they, as football players years ago, they were yelled at by their coaches, and so that was just kind of like the standard. But the research, all the research in American psychology journals show that when you're yelling at this age group, it actually impacts the way that they learn, because cortisol levels rise because they go through a fear state. And when they're fearing something, obviously their learning ability reduces significantly. So instead of helping them learn what they need to do, you actually prevent that from happening by, being in this emotional zone. It's so emotionally charged as a coach that you're just screaming and yelling, and you're not getting across the point that you need to get across. And I think that's where EQ really will help. And if we're at 20%, boy, we got a long way to go.
We got some practice to do. We got some implementation to roll out for sure, but the needle is moving. So that's a positive. But as you're saying, we're a negative mindset bias community. That is just by nature.
Without a doubt.
It's human psychology, it's survival. And it's just, again, allowing our human bodies to realize we're not cavemen. We don't need to sit in the sympathetic nervous system all of the time. And the two things you can control are your thoughts and your breath. And that's it. The rest is genuinely uncontrollable. So with that little piece of hope, again, just thinking about what you're thinking about. And when was the last time you just took a breath? Right. And that will just rehardwire your nervous system in general. Can you give three things that kind of, when I, every like Thanksgiving, I work with family members and I give them coaching programs and workouts. They never follow through with it. That's a different story. But right now we're talking about awareness, having that plan of action, like executing on that and doing those mental exercises, and then having grace. So you mentioned those three things, and I just wanted to reframe those so everyone listening knows what they need to do by step. But that step 2, the exercises that they need to do. Can you give them 3 exercises that they can do so they know, how can I, if I'm ready to rewire and I'm self-aware, that next step, I just don't know what to do. Yeah, I can go look at these things and get books and stuff, but if you could just give them 3 things that they can do that's very helpful, what would that be? Sure. Let me pick out my favorite 3 when it comes to awareness. I'd say the stop sign analogy.
Sorry. My apologies. Exercises.
Exercise. It's an exercise. I'll land the plane. I'm gonna. So it's a mental exercise of visualizing a stop sign, and when you have a stimulus. A gentleman, Dr. Seth Ickerson, speaks about this process called STIA, where it's a stimulus, a thought, an emotion, and an action. And every single thing you are doing throughout your day is in that pattern. So you're trying to create a gap between the stimulus, all the things that are happening around you, and then your thought. Because that gap between things happening and your thought is your mindfulness and your mindset. And I really like the stop sign gap in between that. So something happens, you're speaking, you said something, it made me think a thought, I need to stop. I can still have conversation with you. Why? I'm visualizing the stop sign in my front of my forehead, and you're just stopping and thinking about what you're thinking. And I know that seems very simplistic, but again, we are having tens of thousands of thoughts a day, and we're just not thinking about what we're thinking. So just stop and think about what you're thinking. And do you like what you're thinking? And if you don't like what you're thinking, then change what you're thinking. And that is going to be an exercise to just condition yourself to be more mindful and be more aware of your thoughts. So just visualization, a red stop sign in your head. I went a step further. I'm more of like a physical kinesthetic learner. I printed out these tiny little stop signs and laminated them, and I just like hid them everywhere, like in an office drawer, in the bathroom, or on my mirror. And it was a cue to perform that exercise. So every single time I saw that little stop sign, I had one on my rear view mirror in the car. Stop sign. What am I thinking about right now? Where is my head space?
I like that.
And then reframing your headspace. Am I negative? Am I anxious? Am I thinking about what's happening tomorrow? And tomorrow's not even here. Let me be present right now. And that's just an exercise that you can apply. So I love the stop sign. I think journaling is overlooked, right? Taking things out of our minds and writing them down. Again, being aware of our thoughts. I really like the time travel method. You create a T chart, and one side is, am I time traveling backwards in my thoughts, or am I time traveling forward? And we spend so much time thinking about things that haven't happened, or occupying our mental space for things that haven't happened yet. And that doesn't allow us to be present. And we're not present. We can't be mindful. We can't be attentive and focused on what we're thinking again and what's going on around us. So I really like that journaling T chart of, again, looking at the data and saying, okay, all day today, did I spend more time thinking about and resonating on yesterday? Or did I spend more of my time thinking about tomorrow? And how can I create a game plan for when I start, it's called time traveling. When I start time traveling in my head, how do I bring myself back to present?
I like time traveling better than daydreaming.
We can dream. Yeah, that's still important. And when I share that one, I'm not alluding that we're not prepared, right? We're not just like flying into everything without thinking about, future tense, but more in the sense when it comes to emotional regulation, right? So maybe I'm just going to use, a reference here where I could have time traveled emotionally. Yesterday, I knew I was having this podcast with you today. Maybe I was in my head. Maybe I was like, okay, what questions is Michael going to ask? Am I going to do well? Like, what if he asks something I'm not confident in? And you just kind of start having all these thoughts. And you're like, hold on a second. I'm time traveling forward.
Right.
I have no idea what Michael's going to ask. I'm negative self-talking.
I'm all over the place.
Yeah, I had a moment to reframe. I'm like, you know what? And then you change that internal dialogue. So again, doing the stop sign, and then just breathing. Taking a breath. We are flying around off the seat of our pants all day long, and you breathe automatically, or you would not be existing, but you don't think about your breathing. And again, we are naturally breathing very shallow, and that alters our neurostate. So just maybe it's when you see the stop sign, maybe every time I'm always an advocate of anchoring exercises to something you're already doing, right? That creates behavioral change and habits. So every time you brush your teeth, every time you go to the bathroom, every time you pick up the kids from school, something that is already so deeply engraved in your routine on a day-to-day, you anchor that to a technique like taking a deep 4-second in, 4-second hold, 4-second exhale breath. Yeah, you just did it naturally, and it felt great. It felt good. And that's awesome. That just rehardwires. And again, it's anchoring those tiny little exercises. Really just take a breath. Just take a breath. Take a deep breath every time you park. Every time you have a red light. It's something that you're already doing just to
I noticed that
recenter.
My shoulders relax more. When I take that tense, talking to you.
And life is messy. I mean, again, the world is moving fast, and it's not a pleasant place. And again, all we can control is, how am I thinking about it? How do I feel? How can I control myself? How can I control my thoughts? Everything else that happens to me and for me. It's not, what do I need to do then? Right? So just, taking a breath, and I'm applying some of those exercises to just think about what you're thinking. Seems simple, but once you get into it, you realize you go all day long without ever noticing what you thought about.
My business partner and I, he mentioned this to me. I haven't read the book yet. I can't remember if it was something about Babylon or the man who sold his Ferrari or something like that. It's a famous book, and I have not read it. But he was speaking about it, and he said, Michael, we spend nearly 80% of our day thinking about the past, spending our energy and time on past, which we have no control over. We can't fix. There's nothing we can do about it. We can only learn from it. but we spend 80% of our day thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
And that hit because it was so true. And I mean, this is years ago that he told me about this. And I'm thinking, yeah, I spend a lot of my time thinking about the past and there's nothing I can do about it. So let's just move forward.
Right. And all that mental bandwidth you could use other things, right? That accelerates your career and the topic we were having earlier, right? What could you be doing at that time in your brain when you're not resonating on yesterday or freaking out about tomorrow?
You often say fitness has saved your life. What do you mean by that?
Yeah.
How did it shape, who you are as a person and your mission today?
Yeah, that's a deep question. I think in my younger adolescent years, I was on a wrong path, right? A path that was not going to take me in any direction of a person I wanted to be, and a life I wanted to have. And
What path was that?
Pardon?
What path was that?
One of just self-destruction, low confidence, bad choices, somebody I wouldn't be proud to look in the mirror, knowing my potential, someone that was probably hurt and not in a healing journey yet. And I had a friend who was like, hey, anytime like you're feeling down or, you're going to go out and party or do X, Y, and Z, hit me up instead. He was a boxing coach and worked at a gym that was open 24 hours. I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever. I'm like, I'll hit some stuff. Like, sounds fun. Cool. I don't have anything else to do. So I started implementing that. When I had opportunities to go hang out with the wrong crowd of people or a choice to go do bad decisions, I hit them up instead. Maybe 2 a.m, 3 a.m, whatever.
Was that part of your awareness state and kind of?
I was not aware. Nope. I was so unaware and but that was my first entry into a health club, into fitness. I had been an athlete, but I think athletic training and sports specific conditioning and fitness are very different than the commercial gym. I had never been in a space like that. I didn't know how to use a treadmill. I ran track, but I wasn't on a treadmill, right? You're doing very specific exercises. And I had an injury that also removed that potential of me ever, quote from doctors, playing sports again. So I wasn't clear to play sports. I was in that stereotypical identity crisis and lashed out in other ways. And
how old were you?
I think I was like 17, 18 at the time. And trying to just figure out what I was going to do with my life, with me not having sports, as an option. Then also kind of took away some, career opportunities for colleges and things like that. And I just found myself having this like midlife crisis at 18. And I realized it was that moment when I was just like boxing. It started with boxing in like the middle of the night. And then he'd show me how to do some lifts and really got into working in like the gym setting. And I was working out. And I went from feeling helpless and out of control of anything, that everything was happening to me, to realizing a space and a place that I have control. I am empowered here. This is my body. This is my choice. I can feel empowered, right? You feel like a badass when you can lift heavy weight. Their endorphins are going, right? All of those positives from exercising I was getting from an emotional, a mental, a chemical, every way when I was exercising again. And then I got addicted to that, right? It's like I got addicted to being better. I got addicted to owning my own decisions of who I'm going to be. And again, it comes back to that resiliency. You're just like, I can't lift that weight, but then proving to yourself over practice that you can, that just became a theme in my life in general. And I immediately wanted to help other people who felt like they couldn't do something, be like, no, like you can. And there's a parallel. If you can do it in the gym, I bet you can also get that promotion. I bet you can also achieve that other goal. And in a world that we feel very helpless and like if we don't have control over anything, from my personal experience, my journey, I know that the gym or just health and fitness in general is a space that you are empowered and you have control and you can do whatever you want to do and achieve if you apply to it. And there's nothing more exhilarating, in my opinion, like powerlifting when you're having a rough day than just throwing some heavy weight up in the air, doing a heavy deadlift and feeling it crash. You're just like, I say I work out because punching people is frowned upon, So if like, depending on the lift I'm doing that day, how my day was. So I'm like, oh, we're lifting heavy today. Like, and then you leave the gym and you feel great and you feel happy and like you just re-regulate. So that was kind of, my story, and just very passionate about helping people feel that same self-love through giving themselves the time to work on themselves. Again, we a lot of times pour into other cups, and sometimes the best thing you can do for the people you love is to take care of yourself as well. And I think that starts with making sure you're healthy and well in all ways. So that's how I got into fitness and love changing
That's so true.
lives.
Yeah, that's so true. I mean, I'm listening to you talk about this, and there are so many stories that I've heard about, and so many individuals that I've actually seen change their life path. Yeah. They've come in depressed on meds. It could be a number of things, in a bad relationship, in the wrong career, and they start exercising. They feel empowered because you can see physical change. You can feel change. And those are little micro wins in your day. And that also changes brain chemistry. Absolutely. And those changes take you to the next step in your life, because to your point, it is a parallel. You go, I can do this here, which means I probably can do this too. And they do that one thing, and then they do that second thing, and then they get on this they stair step into their life of doing better and achieving more. And I think that kind of resonates back to really what the mission statement should be across the board for every business in fitness. So if you're a fitness business, your mission should be to really help people. And I think it is, but I think a lot of fitness businesses get into the weeds of just numbers. Mm-hmm. And yes, you need that. You need to like follow the money and make sure you're financially healthy. But I really believe if you focus on the people who are coming in, and again, why that person at the front desk should be smiling, you can tell that story of what it really means to someone. Because for you, had that coach not come to you and said, hey, when you're in this like mental state, or you're going to go choose to do these bad things, just give me a call and we'll go hit the bag, or we'll go lift some weights. And had that person not been in your life, maybe you wouldn't be where you're at today. Maybe you wouldn't be having this conversation. And then you paid it forward to somebody else, and you've seen that transformation happen time and time again. And anybody that's listening, if you are in a bad spot, man, go to the gym. Just go get a workout in. Go find somebody at the gym. And I'll tell you, there's a ton of people out there at the gym that is like RC, like super energetic, like very easy to go up and talk to. And they would probably be more than happy to show you the ropes and like get you started. So if you're in that space, maybe start there. Do some of those exercises, the awareness state, go take a cold shower, get the little stop signs, cut them out, put them everywhere, and show yourself some grace. Those are really good.
I've never seen a bad thing come from working out.
No, I mean, I've seen
decades of doing this. I've never. I mean, maybe you get hurt, but that's a whole other story. But in the big picture, yeah. In the big picture, you never regret a workout you had, whether it was a walk around the block, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, just go. I promise you will feel better, more confident, and just overall in life. Life will be better if you just move. The human body is built to move. Don't overthink it, right? We're just like, well, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not a trainer. I'm going to look stupid in the gym. Don't think about any of that. Again, what we control is ourselves. Go to the gym, do the thing, find the physical activity you like, hiking, paddleboarding. I don't care what it is. Jump on a pogo stick for all I care. Just move your body a little bit every day and see what it can do for your life.
Looking forward. Okay, we're kind of like, this is, what did you call this? The living in the future? I said,
it's your time traveling.
Future time travel. So looking forward, like what does that look like for you? What does work look like for you? You returning back to deeper connection, on a human level? Is it more AI stuff? Like where does this whole thing lead with the company you're with right now with FIBR?
Great question. I mean, I am so grateful for the seat that I have, on the team, overseeing the recruiting department at FIBR. I think it's, in my mind, it's able to make even a bigger impact. So yes, I'm not inside at, studio club level, interacting with the members and trainers on a day-to-day, but knowing that what we do, helping connect fitness professionals in roles that they're allowed to do that, is like 10xing, right? And being able to make impact. There's so many incredible brands that are coming out, and being able to play, I call it like a business matchmaker, and just all of those success stories of knowing you're placing candidates in the right seats. You're giving employers and operators the best talent for them to win. And even if the operator was money driven at the end of the day, if they hit all of their numbers and their metrics are through the roof, that means they were impacting people. They were selling personal training. They were, generating memberships in their studio, which means that lives are being impacted. So if we're that playing piece that is connecting that gap and driving talent acquisition to brands and solving that problem of getting the fitness professionals who want to change lives in the seats that they can change lives, then that's how I sleep well at night, right? And knowing that it aligns with my mission, is that what we do is in an overarching way. It's still changing the world to fitness. It's still changing lives. This is the same industry. So really, really excited about that. We're continuing to grow, with every new brand, every new partnership that we bring on, just means more lives impacted, means more fitness professionals in our database, from partnerships, from companies. I mean, we're going to take over every single brand and anywhere, and we're coming for them all. So it's been exciting to see that growth. And continue to be a part of it. I'll stay in the seat as long as y'all have me. If my bosses are listening, I'm here to stay as long as y'all have me. I'll continue to grow and be a part. And then I'm going to tap on, the AI, just because you brought up that buzzword. I'm a firm believer that nothing will ever be as powerful as the human connection. Absolutely in our industry, which would be, health, wellness. We're a relationship business. But just in general, people, right? Human beings are going to be human beings. And
yeah, I think they look for it more now than they ever have.
Right. And I think I use AI in all sorts of different ways. I think it's an incredible tool, but I don't think that it can eradicate the human interaction. It'll really never be able to replace that. And I hope that it doesn't, because that'd be a sad day, I think, for the whole world. But so I think using it strategically to assist and support and be more efficient with things. But we will, as far as, our brand and us, we're always going to be the people and the connection. And that's something that separates us, from all other brands out there. We are niche as far as what FIBR does, right? With the fitness industry, every single one of our employers in every single department, every recruiter is from the industry. They've done the job. They've worked inside the health club. So that comes back to being able to conduct a phone screening, being able to headhunt, talent, knowing what to look for on a little deeper level, right? They kind of have that little spyglass magnifier on to be like, but what else is there? And really helping pair a candidate with a brand and vice versa. That is a win, like we said, from the very beginning, which then increases, retention, which increases, all of your KPIs. So.
Yeah, I had a conversation with Will yesterday, so I don't think you're going anywhere. Like,
right.
I don't think that's possible.
This is public. Y'all can't ever get rid of me now. This is recorded, documented, timestamp.
It's here to stay. But what we talked about was the fact that the unique way that you guys grab information, right? It's not the Indeed, it's not the Monster, it's not the Career Builder. FIBR is really built through the foundation of connection and partnership with all of these other resources within the industry. And I can't remember the number he said, was like 40,000 a day, or it was huge. It was a huge number of people daily that get added to your database. And then they have an opportunity to look for a job. And when they click on this link that goes out, then, and I'm probably saying this wrong or representing it incorrectly, but the reality is all of these fitness businesses have this opportunity to get really essentially a better targeted list of potential candidates, because it's not just from Indeed. It's like people who've completed a certification or are renewing a certification through any number of the different groups out there, or finished up with school, or been working in a position that was parallel or complementary to what you as a business owner might have. My information is probably in there in the database. But then they go out and find people and then place them in the business. And that would have supported me so much better, because had you guys existed when I needed you, then I wouldn't have had the headache or the huge expense that I had on Indeed every single month to try and find people, because that 10-10 rule really applied for us. And we went through a lot of candidates. So I just think that there's a really unique way you guys are doing this. And I'm curious, are you going to look in other markets or categories to also kind of have the same model? Because I don't think you guys have carved out a model. Like this is a new way of doing this. It's not the traditional like headhunter, recruiter type of thing. You guys have created something unique. So outside of the fitness industry, are you guys looking to maybe do in similar industries?
Yeah, great question. I think I'll let William answer that one as our founder. But I will just echo the uniqueness and why it was created for our industry very specifically was the pain point that traditionally, as you spoke about, there's no place. Where are they at? The fitness professionals aren't just chilling on LinkedIn, Indeed, and these traditional platforms. So, and William, who you're referencing, is our founder and, the brainchild behind FIBR, had worked in the space many decades, alongside, our other, leaders of FIBR. And they just kind of came together and like, who's going to solve this? And they're like, why are we dealing with this? There has to be a way that we can, for a lack of, better terms, what we've done is create our own Indeed. And it is just embodied of millions of candidates that our niche qualified for our industry. And that's, as you were referencing, is what we do and separates us, is creating why the FIBR, right, which stands for the Fit Bridge. We created those bridges between the education bodies, between the organizations, really all across our industry, one centralized space where you can go to be connected to everything. When before, again, I'm sorry it didn't exist. I'm sorry it didn't exist when you needed us, but we exist now. I think, there's definitely opportunity. I'd love to see it in other industries. I'm sure there's a need there to create unique hiring platforms and proprietary databases that include only the types of candidates that are what you're looking for. I think that would be a big win for any industry. I just know for our industry specific, the type of people that work in our space just weren't on those platforms. How do they find them? They weren't hearing about the opportunities. Very unique in our sense, which was why it was a big win for us to be able to, create a database like that. But
if someone listening right now kind of feels lost, job gone, right? Their dreams are faded, what would you tell them?
I'll go back to how we opened it up. Sit down, find your ikigai, find your why, really look into what aligns with you. And I think you'll be surprised to open up that box, maybe some opportunities out there that you never took a shot at. And then secondly, I'll go with just a cliche quote: you miss all the shots you don't take. Apply, try, explore, go out there, put yourself out there. It's going to be scary. Go to the interview, have the phone screening, give it a go. What's the worst that happens, right? Like, you're going to get told no. Who cares? Go to the next one. Get told no 10 times and then land on the one. But nothing happens if nothing happens, kind of thing. And if you sit around and be sad about it, nothing's going to change, right? So look inward and then put yourself outward in uncomfortable, different situations. And with that, if any of you are in that position and you're looking for a job in the fitness industry, I want to support that. We welcome you with open arms, and we're trying to do better as an industry to let people know you don't have to be a personal trainer to be in our industry. There are positions in every sector of our business that you can buy. So if you're an accountant, if you're a graphic designer, if you're marketing, business administration, really anything tech, they have websites, they have tech, they have software systems, right? There's every single job we have for you in our industry, and you can be a part of that bigger picture, knowing that whether you're in the tech web development side of fitness organization, what you're doing in some way is a domino to helping change lives and helping people be better. So I definitely encourage anyone that wants to come into the health and wellness industry. We are growing exponentially, continue to, so many job opportunities available, and we need talent in all sectors, not just personal trainers and coaches. So we invite you in with open arms.
RC, where can they find you? Where can they find more about you and FIBR? Where can they follow the work that you guys are doing?
Definitely. Our website is FIBR. That's FIBR. So not that extra E in there. FIBR.FIT. That'll take you to the FIBR website for all things that we do. You're welcome to find myself on LinkedIn and connect there. I always love to have conversations. If there's ever any way that we can support any of your hiring needs, we'd love to have a conversation around that and pluck some top talent from our database and send them your way, or go over your hiring play, and assist with supporting that as well. We're definitely here to help. So yeah, check out FIBR.FIT, and then you can find myself, RC Hahn, Hahn, on LinkedIn.
Thank you, RC. And for all of those who are listening, if this resonated with you, or maybe you feel like there's somebody else out there that this could help with, right? They could help maybe the way that they think, or getting them back on the right track. Because the conversation today really wasn't just about FIBR or the fitness industry in specific, or just about hiring. We really talked about humanity and talking through how you can reinvent yourself, the ways that you can really change and rewire your brain. Even if the world feels like it's just moving a little too fast for you, there's things that you can do. And RC, you gave some really great examples and ways to make that happen. So thank you so much for that. And please, everyone, if this was of value, please like, subscribe, follow, do all those good things, because it helps spread the word and get more people involved. And share it with those who might need this. Appreciate everyone listening. RC, thank you so much. And we'll see you guys on the flip side.